The sky over Los Angeles was the kind that made you feel small-washed in soft orange, streaked with thin clouds that looked like brush strokes across the fading day. The film studio lot, usually full of noise and laughter, stood unusually quiet. That evening, the golden hour lights were set, the cameras still, waiting. Something had just gone wrong. It's very wrong. Ana de Armas had just walked off set. Not stormed, not ran-walked. But the way she walked said more than shouting ever could. Slow, silent, holding back something she couldn't let fall. Her makeup was still perfect, her hair pinned the way the director wanted. But her eyes, they looked like they were holding the weight of something too heavy for one person to carry. Keanu Reeves stood there, confused at first, then deeply still. Everyone else looked away. Assistants turned to phones. Crew members adjusted equipment that didn't need adjusting. No one wanted to follow her. No one wanted to ask what was wrong. But Keanu did. He didn't say anything at first. He simply placed his script down on the director's chair and quietly walked in the direction she had gone. His boots tapped lightly on the pavement, echoing in the stillness of the lot. Ana sat on the trailer steps, elbows resting on her knees, her hands folded, eyes staring at the ground. She wasn't crying yet, but she was close. When she heard footsteps, she wiped her face quickly, trying to harden herself before looking up. "Please," she said quietly. "Not now." Keanu stopped a few feet away. He didn't come closer. He didn't push. "Okay," he said simply, voice calm and warm. "I'll just sit here." And he did, not on the steps beside her, but on the ground. Legs crossed like a child, hands resting on his knees. No drama, no spotlight, just stillness. Ana looked at him through the corner of her eyes. "You're really sitting on the ground." He gave a soft smile. "I've sat in worse places."
Silence.
Again, but this one wasn't heavy, was gentle. Finally, Ana spoke, voice almost breaking. "I got a letter." Keanu looked up. Not too fast, not too curious. Just open. She pulled a folded paper from her jacket pocket. It was crumpled, the edges torn like it had been opened and closed too many times. "From a fan?" he asked softly. She nodded at least. "I think it was a fan, or maybe someone pretending to be. They said I didn't belong in this industry. That I'm just a pretty face, no real talent. That I ruined every film I touched. And today, ... when the director shouted, 'Cut.' For a second, I believed them." Keanu didn't rush to reply. He let the weight of her words settle. Ana looked away, ashamed. "You ever feel like maybe they're right? Maybe you're just pretending? Maybe it's all luck?" He shook his head slowly. "Every actor has felt that, even the good ones, especially the good ones." Ana laughed bitterly. "But you're not like us. You're Keanu. You're loved." "Not always," he said gently. "Not when I started, and not when I lost people. When I failed. When I couldn't get work, and I showed up." To set feeling like an empty chair in a full room, Ana turned toward him. Really turned this time. "What did you do?" she asked. He smiled, but there was sadness in it. "I kept showing up, even when I felt invisible, or even when I thought I was no good. One kept listening, and I kept being kind, especially when the world didn't make sense." Ana looked at the letter again. Her hands were shaking. Keanu held out his palm. "May I?" She gave it to him. He read it quietly, not fast, not with any visible reaction. Then he folded it back, carefully, and handed it to her. "This," he said, "isn't about you." Ana frowned. "What?" "This letter," he repeated, "isn't about you. It's about them. Someone who doesn't know how to heal, so they break. Someone who sees light and feels blind. This isn't your truth. It's their wound." Ana sat still, thinking. Letting that settle, Keanu looked at the sunset behind her. "The day will end either way," he said. "But how you let it end, that's your choice." She breathed in. "No, deep." "You want to go back in?" he asked. Gently, she didn't answer at first. Then she nodded. "Not big, just enough." "But only if you walk beside me," she said. Keanu stood, then reached out a hand. She took it as they walked back to set. The crew watched. No one said anything. Something in the air had changed. Not because a scene was finished, because something real had just happened off camera. Something that would never be filmed, but would be remembered. Back on set, Anna stood taller. The lights were still bright. The cameras were still ready. The director lifted a hand to speak, but stopped when he saw her face. She didn't look broken anymore. She looked whole, and somewhere deep inside her chest, a voice whispered, not the one from the letter, but a new one. You are not here by accident. You are not alone. And someone believed that before you even said a word. The next morning came with a soft drizzle over Los Angeles. It's not heavy, not loud, just enough to make the studio lot smell like wet concrete and fresh beginnings. Anna sat in her trailer again, this time looking out the small window. She wore a thick sweater, her hair pulled back loosely. No makeup, no lights, just her. A knock came at the door. It's not rushed, just steady. She already knew who it was. It's open, she called. Keanu stepped inside holding 2 paper cups. They messed up the coffee order, he said with a half smile. So I stole the good one before anyone noticed. Anna took it and sipped slowly. It was hot, a little too sweet, just what she needed. You okay? He asked. She looked down at her hands. I'm better. Not okay. Not yet, but better. He nodded, sitting on the couch across from her. It's a good start. Sat in silence for a moment. The kind that feels like 2 people trying to listen to the same invisible thing. Finally, Anna broke it. I didn't sleep much. Me neither, Keanu said softly. Was thinking about you, about that letter, about how many of us carry stuff like that and never show it. Anna turned to him. Do you think we ever stopped caring about what people say? He thought about that for a long second. I think we stopped letting it decide who we are. But the words ... they still leave marks. We just learned not to press on the bruise. Anna smiled a little. You always talk like a philosopher. Keanu shrugged. Maybe I've just been through enough to know what matters. Anna looked at him carefully. You never talk much about your past, about what you've been through. He looked down at his coffee. Most people only want to hear the shiny parts. I'm not most people, she said gently. He looked up then, and something in his eyes softened. You sure? I'm sure? He leaned back, quiet for a while, then finally spoke. When I was 23, I lost my best friend to an overdose. He was funny. It's the kind of guy who made everyone laugh without trying. We were supposed to make a film together, but he never made it. Anna sat still, listening. Years later, Keanu continued. I met someone. She made me believe I could be more than just a guy with a job. We had a daughter, but the baby didn't survive. A few weeks after the funeral, she left me too. Anna didn't speak. She just reached forward and gently touched his hand. And yet Keanu said quietly, I'm still here. Not because it stopped hurting, but because I learned how to carry it without letting it bury me. Anna's eyes glistened. Keanu ... I had no idea. He gave a small smile. It's the thing about pain. Most people don't talk about it until it shaped them completely. She squeezed his hand gently. Thank you for telling me. Thank you for listening, he replied. The knock on the trailer door came again. This time it was a young assistant. We're ready on set, Ms. Armas, Mr. Reeves. Anna stood, coffee still in hand, but as she reached the door, she paused. You know what's strange? She said, turning back to Keanu. What? That letter? It doesn't feel as big anymore. Keanu smiled. That's because truth is always heavier than lies. They stepped out into the light rain, walking side by side across the lot. Today's scene was a tough one, emotionally raw. A funeral. Sequence that mirrored too much of real life. Anna had dreaded it all week. But now, something had changed. She was ready. The director gave a few notes, but kept his tone light. The crew moved with quiet focus. And then dash action, Anna walked through. The scene with eyes wide and heart open. She didn't act. She lived it. The camera caught every tremble, every pause, every tear that fell for reasons no one would ever truly understand. It was one of the best takes she'd ever done. When it ended, the set was silent. Even the sound guy had tears in his eyes. Keanu, waiting just off camera, gave her a small nod. Anna smiled through wet lashes. That night, Anna went home and sat on her balcony. The city stretched out before her, full of lights and stories and strangers. She thought about the letter again, but this time she folded it for the last time and dropped it into a drawer. It no longer owned a part of her. The phone buzzed. A message from Keanu. You made them feel something real today. That's the gift. Never forget that, she replied. Thank you for reminding me I still have it. A pause. Right. Then his last message. You never lost it. It just needed someone to protect it for a while. She put the phone down and looked at the sky. For the first time in days, she felt something rise in her chest. Not pride. Not joy peace. It was enough. But she didn't know that tomorrow would bring another test, one that wouldn't just hurt her career, but someone she loved. And once again it would be Keanu who stood in the middle of it. But this time, the cameras would catch more than just a performance. They would catch the moment truth stood up in public and refused to stay silent. Anna couldn't sleep that night, even though the messages online had shifted in her favor. Even though Keanu's speech had brought her unexpected waves of support, something still sat in her chest like a stone. It wasn't just the betrayal. It was not knowing who, because someone close had recorded that private moment. Someone who had been on set that day, who had walked past her, maybe even smiled at her, then turned around and sold her pain to strangers. And that silence, the kind that hides a knife behind its back, was louder than any rumor. Keanu had texted her before bed. Proud of you today. Don't let the shadows fool you. The light is real. She smiled at his message, held on to it like a soft thread. But deep down, something was still unraveling. The next morning, she arrived earlier than usual, wanting quiet before the crew filled the lot, but someone was already waiting at her trailer. Mia, her assistant, young, bright, always kind. The kind of person who brought her herbal tea before interviews and left sticky notes with little hearts when she knew Anna was nervous. Anna blinked. Mia? Everything okay? Mia's face was pale. Her hands clenched around her phone. I need to talk to you. Anna nodded and opened the trailer. They stepped inside. The door closed. The world fell silent. Mia didn't sit. She looked at Anna, eyes filled with guilt. It was me. Anna's breath caught. Mia swallowed hard. I didn't mean for it to happen like that. I swear. I was scared. Anna backed up a step. You filmed it? Mia nodded. Not to sell it. Not at first. I recorded it because someone from the gossip blogs reached out to me last week. They offered money for behind-the-scenes stuff. Small things. Nothing harmful. Wardrobe changes. Actor arguments. I thought if I gave them a few harmless things, they'd leave me alone. Anna's chest tightened. Mia continued, voice trembling. That day when you walked off set, I thought, maybe if I captured something small, something vague, they'd be satisfied. But then, they twisted it. They published it like it was a breakdown. They made you look weak, Anna whispered, like a problem. I tried to stop it, Mia said, tears falling now. I told them not to use your face, not to drag Keanu into it, but they didn't care. Anna sat down slowly. Her legs felt numb. Why didn't you tell me? She asked. I was ashamed, Mia whispered. And when the internet turned on you? I didn't know how to undo it. I thought maybe if I stayed quiet long enough it would fade. Anna didn't reply. The silence was too heavy, the kind that made you see people differently. Finally, she stood. Mia, she said quietly, I cared about you. I know. Mia sobbed. I'm so sorry. Anna's voice didn't rise. It didn't break. It just carried pain. It's your things. Tell the studio you're done. I can't see you here tomorrow. Mia nodded slowly, still crying. I understand. Anna opened the door and watched as her assistant, her friend, walked away. She stood alone for a long moment. And then, a quiet voice behind her. I heard. She turned. Keanu stood in the doorway, his eyes sad, not surprised, just sad. You were right, Anna said softly. It wasn't the letter. It was the wound. He nodded. She was scared, Anna continued. But fear doesn't excuse betrayal. No, Keanu agreed, but it explains it. Anna stepped outside, looking out over the lot. It's strange. Yesterday I was the one who needed protecting, and today I feel like I've aged 5 years. Keanu smiled gently. Pain does that. They walked slowly toward the soundstage. The crew was already there, setting up lights, adjusting rigs. Everyone looked busy, but some glanced at her with quiet respect. The director approached, hesitant. Anna, Keanu, we've adjusted the schedule. Today's scene is yours alone. No extras, no crowd, just the two of you. It's the one where your character finds out who's been lying to her the whole time. Anna blinked. You moved that up? We figured it might feel real, he said carefully. If it's too soon, we can delay it. Anna shook her head. No, let's do it. Inside the soundstage, the lights dimmed as the crew set the tone for the scene. Anna and Keanu took their places. In the scene, her character confronted her closest friend. A betrayal had been revealed. It was raw, unrehearsed, and when the cameras rolled, something happened. Anna didn't. She released every word she said on screen came from the ache still fresh in her chest. You told me you were there for me, but all along, you were waiting for me to fall. Her voice broke, her hands shook, and the worst part is, I would have forgiven you if you'd just been honest. Keanu's character said nothing, just stood there listening, absorbing the weight of her truth, and then, as scripted, crossed the space between them and whispered something no one could hear. But Keanu changed the line. He said, I'll stand with you even when the world doesn't. The director didn't. Yell cut for a long time. The room held its breath. When he finally called it, the crew burst into quiet applause. Not loud, not showy. Just a deep acknowledgement of something beautiful. After the take, Anna walked over to Keanu. That wasn't in the script. He smiled. Neither was any of this. Outside, a studio executive waited with a stiff smile. Anna, Keanu press wants a statement. The internet's buzzing again. Clip of your speech went viral, and now they're calling you both the heart of the industry. They want interviews. Maybe a talk show appearance. Anna looked at Keanu. He raised an eyebrow. Your call. Anna took a deep breath. No interviews. Not yet. But Anna, this is your moment. Shh. She shook her head. No, my moment was when I didn't let pain turn me cruel. The rest of this is just noise. The executive blinked, unsure how to respond. Anna turned away, walking beside Keanu. You coming, always? As they stepped off the set together, their shadows stretching in the evening light, neither of them knew what was waiting in the next few days. Because someone else had taken interest in their story. Not the press, not the gossip blogs, someone unexpected. Someone who didn't care about headlines. Someone who had once been hurt by the same industry, and they were about to reach out with a message that would change everything. 3 days passed, the studio had calmed, the press had cooled, Anna had returned to set with quiet confidence, and Keanu remained her steady anchor. Scenes were shot, lines delivered, and for a moment, things felt almost normal. But nothing stays. Quiet for long in Hollywood, not, when something real happens, and especially not when people start to feel something they haven't felt in years. Truth. On the 4th morning, Anna's phone buzzed while she sat alone in her trailer, sipping green tea. It was a message request from someone she hadn't seen in over a decade. Maria Fernandez. She stared at the name. Her heart skipped. Her hands trembled just a little. Maria wasn't famous, but she used to be everything. An acting teacher from Anna's earliest days in Los Angeles. Was the first woman who believed in her. The first one who told her she had something special before any casting director ever looked her way, and then Maria disappeared. The last time Anna saw her was at a small workshop years ago. Maria had just lost funding for her theater space, and rumors had spread that someone in the industry had blacklisted her after she spoke out against a major director. Anna opened the message slowly. I saw what you did. I saw how you stood tall. I saw how Keanu stood beside you. I want to talk. Please come see me. I think it's time we finish something we started. Beneath the message was an address. Anna didn't wait. She told the director she'd be back by lunch and drove herself across the city to an old neighborhood lined with murals, cracked sidewalks, and stories built into every corner. Maria lived in a small apartment above a bookstore. The stairs creaked under Anna's feet. Her heart pounded. With every step, she knocked. The door opened, and there she was, Mirandes, older now. Her dark curls laced with silver, her eyes still sharp. "You came," she said. Her voice both strong and soft. "Of course I did," Anna replied. They sat at the small kitchen table. 2 mugs. No cameras, no scripts. Just history between them. "I've been watching," Maria said. "Not the headlines, not the clips. The energy, the silence you broke, the way you didn't let them destroy your spirit. You reminded me why I used to teach." Anna smiled. "You were the first person who ever believed in me." Maria looked down. "I left you alone when you needed me most." "You disappeared," Anna said gently. "I never knew why." Maria sighed. "Because I tried to speak out against a man in power, director who was casting young actresses by fear instead of talent. I reported him. And the next week, no studio would return my calls." Anna's chest tightened, is silenced. They tried," Maria said. "But pain, ... Pain turns into fuel if you let it." She stood and pulled a folder from the bookshelf. Old papers, scripts, lesson notes, and one very familiar photo. It was of Anna Young, smiling, sitting on a bare stage floor, her hands wrapped around a script. "I kept everything," Maria said. Anna's throat tightened. "Why are you showing me this now? Because the industry is cracked open, Anna? I mean, you were the hammer. And if you're willing, I think we can build something real inside that opening." Anna blinked. "What do you mean?" Maria smiled. "A space, a program, for young actors, for the forgotten. A safe place to learn, to heal, to grow. No fear, no politics, just art and honesty." Anna leaned forward. "But how? With what support?" Maria's eyes gleamed. "That's why I asked you here. Because you're not just an actress anymore. You're a voice. You're not alone." At that moment, Anna's phone buzzed again. It was Keanu. "Just met a young actor on set. Said you inspired him. Said he wants to tell stories that matter. You've started something. And it's bigger than you know." Anna looked at Maria. "We're right. We can't waste this moment." Maria smiled wider. "So, will you help me build it?" Anna nodded slowly. Yes, I will." They sat together, dreaming plans into life. That afternoon, Anna returned to the studio changed. Not because she had cried, not because she had healed, but because she had found her purpose beyond performance. Keanu met her outside stage 3. "You disappeared," Anna smiled. "Found someone I thought was lost, Maria." She nodded. He looked proud. "She's a legend. She's ready to rise again," Anna said, "and I want to help her." Keanu stepped closer. "You're becoming more than they ever expected." Anna looked at him carefully. "You were right, Keanu, when you said real pain changes you. But so does real kindness." He smiled. "Then let's be the ones who keep choosing kindness, even when it's hard." They walked onto set together, unaware that a journalist from a respected outlet had quietly arrived to observe the shoot. Someone who had once ignored stories like Maria's. Someone who, after witnessing Anna's journey, was ready to break the silence. The article would publish in 48. Ours, it would go deeper than gossip. It would name names, and it would make headlines around the world, but none of them were ready for what would happen after that. When one of Hollywood's biggest producers would try to stop it with threats, with lawyers, fear, and Keanu, he would step up once again. But this time, he wouldn't just protect Anna. He would risk everything. The following day began with tension already in the air. Anna arrived early to the studio lot, her eyes tired, her movements slower. Something felt off. She couldn't explain it, just a strange heaviness pressing on her chest like a storm waiting. To break, Keanu wasn't there yet. She stepped out of her car and felt the shift immediately. Not from the sky or the weather, but from the people. Crew members glanced at her and then quickly looked away. An extra pretended to check their phone as she passed. Even the woman from costume, who always greeted her with a smile, seemed strangely quiet. Anna walked faster. Inside the makeup trailer, the silence deepened. One of the makeup artists, Leah, finally said, "It's soft, hesitant." "Anna, I'm so sorry about what happened." Anna frowned. "Do you mean?" Leah hesitated. "You haven't checked your socials this morning?" Anna shook her head. "I try not to before a shoot." Leah turned her phone around and showed her the screen. Anna stared. It was a photo taken without her knowing from the day she walked off set. Her face looked distressed, her eyes red. Beside it was a post with a cruel caption mocking her breakdown, twisting the story, calling her overdramatic, unprofessional, another star who can't handle pressure. It had already gone viral, and worse, someone had leaked a clip from that private moment outside her trailer, the one where Keanu sat on the ground next to her. The caption above it read, "Keanu comforting Anna as she melts down over a bad review. Hollywood's princess strikes again." Anna's hand shook. Who posted this?" "It's hard to tell," Leah said softly. "But someone from the set, someone who sold it." Anna felt the walls closing in. Her throat tightened. She rushed outside, needing air, needing space. Her trailer felt too small, the studio too loud, the world too cruel. Just when she had started to believe in herself again, but then his voice, "Anna." She turned, and there was Keanu. He looked serious. No coffee cup, no smile, just steady eyes filled with quiet fire. "You saw it?" she asked. He nodded. "Did you know someone was filming?" He shook his head. "No. And they had no right." Laughed bitterly. "It's everywhere now." Again, and they're dragging you into it too. Keanu took a step closer. "Listen to me. This is not your fault. They took something sacred, something real, and turned it into a joke." "Why?" she whispered. "Why would someone do that?" He exhaled slowly. "Because it's easier to laugh at someone else's pain than to face your own." She looked down, ashamed. "I should have stayed quiet, stayed strong," he said firmly. "You were strong. You didn't break, you were honest. And that's what scared them." She didn't reply. She just stood there, the sun beginning to rise behind the clouds, casting long shadows on the pavement. Keanu looked around. People were pretending not to stare, but he could feel the eyes on them. Then he did something Anna didn't expect. He walked over to the camera crew, where the director stood nearby, giving quiet orders. The entire set hushed as Keanu raised his voice, not shouting, but clear. "I want to say something before we start today," he began. Anna froze. The crew turned. Keanu stood tall but calm. "Yesterday," he said, "someone here filmed a moment that was not meant for the public. A private, vulnerable moment between two colleagues. And someone made the choice to sell it, to humiliate someone who was already hurting." "Oh no, dude." Toast and wine. He turned toward Anna, then back to the crew. "What you saw wasn't weakness. It was courage. Anna showed more strength in that moment than most people show in a lifetime. And if we're the kind of industry that punishes people for being human, then maybe we need to ask ourselves what we're even doing here." Silence. No one moved. Anna stood frozen, tears in her eyes. Keanu's voice softened. "I've been here a long time, and I've seen people break. But I've also seen people rise. And I'll say this right now. I stand with her." He looked at Anna. "And I always will." Then he stepped back. The director cleared his throat awkwardly. "Okay, let's take 10. The crew slowly broke apart, many of them suddenly interested in cables and lights. Pretending they weren't just part of something big, Anna walked toward Keanu. "You didn't have to do that." He smiled softly. "I did, because no one else was going to." She laughed gently through her tears. It just made it harder for them to forget this. Good, he said. Some things shouldn't be forgotten. That day, the energy on set changed. Not all at once, but slowly. One of the makeup artists brought Anna her favorite tea. The lighting guy gave her a nod and a thumbs up. Even the assistant who knocked yesterday came up and quietly said, "You were amazing." Anna smiled. It still hurt, but it hurt less. The scene they filmed that afternoon was another emotional one. This time Anna played a woman confronting the loss of her mother. The script was heavy, the lines painful, but something happened while they filmed. Anna didn't just perform. She released the pain of the letter. The photo, the betrayal lit, poured into her character. And what came out was real, raw, honest. When the director called cut, the crew was silent again. Some even clapped. Anna looked across the set and saw Keanu watching with pride. That evening, back in her trailer, Anna checked her phone. This time, the internet had changed its tone. People were defending her.
Ow.
Fans were posting kind messages. Even fellow actors were sharing their own stories of anxiety, pressure, and pain. Keanu's words had spread too. Someone had recorded part of his speech. Now, it was the trending hashtag, #IST, and with ANA and hashtag, Keanu knows the fire was still burning. But this time, it was lighting a path forward, and yet none of them knew that someone else had been watching. Someone who wasn't happy. Someone who had more secrets. And one of those secrets was about to tear open everything Anna thought she knew. About who really? The article dropped on a Tuesday morning. It wasn't loud at first, not like a breaking scandal or a celebrity fight. It began quietly, shared by a few verified voices on social media, and passed along in group chats, actor forums, and whispered conversations between makeup chairs and lighting rigs. But by midday, it was everywhere. Hollywood's Truth Project. How one actress's silent moment shattered an empire of silence. The writer had done her homework. And she didn't just talk about Anna. She talked about Maria, about the director who blacklisted her, about the abuse, the fear, the intimidation that had driven talented people out of the industry. She also talked about the letter, the leaked video. The moment Anna walked off said end how Keanu Reeves didn't let her walk. Alone, the article ended with a quote from Keanu, "You don't have to be loud to be strong. Sometimes the quietest people carry the loudest truths." Anna read the article. In her trailer, her hand covering her mouth, the phone started ringing before she could even breathe. Calls from producers, studio execs. Some congratulating, some concerned, some clearly angry. But the one that made her heart stop was from her agent, Anna. "He's furious." "Who?" she asked, though part of her already knew. "The producer named in the story, the one behind your last 2 films. He's threatening legal action, defamation, breach of contract. He says you damaged his reputation." Anna swallowed hard. "He's the one who destroyed Maria's." "I know," her agent said. "Right, but he's powerful. If he follows through, you could lose roles. He could block you from future projects. This is going to get messy." Anna hung up and stared at the wall for a long time. Then she walked right onto the set, where Keanu was waiting for his scene. He saw her face and didn't ask questions, just followed her to a quiet spot behind the soundstage. "They're coming for me," she said softly. He nodded. "I figured I could lose everything." "You could," he said, "but you won't lose yourself." She looked at him. "Do you think it's worth it?" Keanu stepped closer, his eyes steady. "I think the moment you let fear make your choices, you stop being the person people believed in. And you, Anor, already more than a role, more than a trailer, more than a photo taken in a bad moment. Your truth, and they're afraid of that." Tears welled in her eyes. "What if I fall?" "Then fall," he said gently. "He'll catch you." That afternoon, the studio called an emergency meeting. Anna walked in with her head high. Keanu walked in beside her. Executives sat around the table, all polished and tense. Legal teams whispered to each other. The producer in question wasn't there, but his influence lingered in the room like smoke. A lawyer stood, Mr. Armas, you are aware that speaking publicly about events you cannot verify may constitute a breach of your contracts. Anna didn't flinch. I spoke truth, and I have witnesses, including someone you tried to erase from history. The room shifted. Miss Fernandez? The lawyer scoffed. Her name has no weight here. Keanu stood slowly, maybe not in your office, but out there? He pointed toward the studio lot. Her name means something, because she told the truth when it cost her everything. And Noina's doing the same. You try to silence that, and you'll be the ones people turn on. The room fell quiet. Keanu continued. We're not here to argue. We're here to let you know, if you try to shut her down, you'll have to go through me and others. Of others. He pulled out his phone and placed it on the table. On the screen were signatures, messages, hundreds of actors, crew members, writers standing with Anna, and Maria, and the movement she'd started without even knowing it. The lawyer backed down slowly. The tide turned. It didn't happen all at once. But within weeks, studios began reaching out not to scold, but to learn. Workshops were launched, new safety protocols discussed. Funding came in for Maria's program and the old producer. He was quietly removed from 2 major projects. Anna didn't dance when it happened. She didn't throw a party. She just stood with Maria in a small rehearsal space weeks later. Watching as 10 young actors ran through scenes filled with emotion and truth, Maria turned to her. They're not afraid anymore, Anna smiled. They were never afraid of us. They were afraid of what we'd awaken. Maria nodded. And now we give them a place to belong. Across town, Keanu sat in his quiet apartment, reading the final draft of a small independent script written by a first-time writer who said he had been inspired by the way Keanu defended Anna. His phone buzzed. A text from Anna? We start shooting the pilot next month. Want you in the first episode. Playing yourself. But this time, it's the man who didn't let me walk alone. Keanu smiled. His reply was simple. I'll be there. Cameras rolled again on a new kind of story, built on truth, humility, respect, and resilience. Anna stood in front of the lens without fear, because now she knew who she was. Not just an actress, not just a headline, not just someone who walked offset crying, but someone who came back stronger and stood, not alone, but with the one man who never looked away.